Recruiting updates for Lamar Brown, Richard Anderson, Xavier McDonald, and more on the portal.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the portal. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst and writer. Thank you for making the portal your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you coming in to find out all the latest happenings in the recruiting world, NIL, and transfer portal. And today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Let's dive into all the happenings from Under Armour New Orleans on the recruiting front. Later today, I will have a breakdown of the players, who I thought stood out and why. A few more recruiting nuggets as well. That show will be up in the evening. But right now, let's just focus on some of the top performers and the recruiting updates I got from them. I'm just going to start off with Lamar Brown. He was outstanding as an O-line and D lineman. He was really, really good. He's probably about the only guy in the country that I could see being an elite player on both sides of the ball as a lineman. Very, very rare to see that, but Lamar Brown was not your normal guy walking in the door, and I really don't think that's going to change much. Lamar is down to 4 or 5 schools, I think, just overall. I'm sure there's several others. It's probably 10 because I'm sure everybody's still trying to get to him, but Miami, Florida State, Texas A&M, and LSU are the core group that he discussed with me. And a couple backdrops. This is a kid that he's from Baton Rouge. So you automatically assume, well, it's going to be pretty hard for LSU not to sign him. He's a national top 10 kid by most recruiting services. And after seeing him live, I don't disagree. That being the case, even though he's at University Lab School, which is like connected to LSU, he told me to my face that he is not an LSU fan. He grew up rooting, ironically, for Miami. Now, why would a kid from Baton Rouge grow up rooting for Miami? This shows you how anything is possible. He said the team that he played for when he was first learning the game of football, their name was the Hurricanes. So you sometimes walk into that. I'm sure Mario Cristobal will not be disappointed with that. But Mario and that staff have done a really good job with him. Definitely a major factor. He's got an OB. He's going to probably be a guy that comes down the last 2 or 3 schools. I'll be surprised if Miami is not involved. He's not done in any way, shape, or form, and it's not going to be an announcement anytime soon, barring something unforeseen. But again, Miami, Florida State, LSU, Texas A&M, they're all together in that. Florida State, if you wonder about the relationship there, it's ironic. He was pretty high on UCF at one point when that staff was still there. And of course, it's changed a lot. Gus Malzahn, Herb Hand, they've went on to join Mike Norvell's staff at Florida State. And he just really likes those guys. Guys, a tremendous relationship with Gus and Herb and the staff overall, Norvell and all those guys that they have brought in from the Nebraska staff on defense. They've done a good job recruiting too. To that point, again, I mentioned earlier, Lamar is a two-way player. He told me that he's made the decision that he wants to play defense in college, not offense. Most people like him better on offense, and I think right now he is a better offensive player, but he's still really good. And I've got some clips of him that I've put out, and I'll have some more coming on my YouTube Shorts page here on the Portal Podcast. But he's just a really freaky athlete for his size, and he loves it. Lamar Brown loves it. That's why all these schools are after him. And in case you're wondering, yes, LSU is absolutely in it. They are really after him hard. He lives right there by the school, and that's definitely a program to watch. A&M is the kind of the wild card that I've heard a lot about, and he spoke high of them as well, but I don't think that they're like in the lead or anything like that. I think all of them are pretty close together. Lamar seemed to be almost overwhelmed by how much recruiting attention he's getting, and he's a pretty humble young man. Really appreciated him taking the time to do the interview with me, but I don't know where he's going, but this I think will end up being a decision this summer, but nobody's going to give up on him either. So Miami, Florida State, LSU, Texas A&M, those are the main schools. We'll see if anybody else can get an OB for him. Sticking with the trenches, and by the way, Under Armour New Orleans in the trenches was ridiculous. talking to Craig Hubbard and just everybody there that worked the camp, people around it. It was tremendous. So there are a lot of guys. And I want to give a shout out to this kid right off the bat, and I'll talk about him more tonight. Dylan Berryman. He's at a smaller area in north central Louisiana, but at the same time, he is not small himself. He's 6'2", 340, somewhere around there, and just a massive kid that can move. He was dominant in one-on-ones. Again, I'll talk about him more. He's, from Monroe area, Ouachita Parish. I believe that's how you pronounce it. If I missed it, my apologies. But just a powerhouse and just a great kid. His official visit list, I'm sure, could change, but Texas A&M, Houston was a school that he mentioned to me. I thought that was interesting. He didn't mention LSU. I'm not sure if the LSU just doesn't want him or if he's not interested, but he didn't mention LSU to me. Texas Tech is a school that he mentioned. So we'll see where he ends up. But that kid was really, really dominant. And at most camps, he'd be an MVP. He was still honored. He was one of the better players. But there were just so many great defensive linemen. But underrated. I know that some schools probably look at him a little different than others because he's not a pure one gap and go guy, just by looking at his frame, but the way he plays, he did. So again, I'll talk about him more tonight on the big show, but do not count him out as being a guy that's a big time player at the next level. Also, and this is the one that everybody wanted to see live because he's even bigger than Berryman. Richard Anderson, he plays at Edna Carr where the event was held. They had several really good players there. And this is a kid that he told me before he was 356 pounds. And I'm like, my goodness, he carries his weight well. Richard Anderson is technically committed to LSU. He told me he wasn't sure if he was going to take more trips. That is in the we'll see stage of things. But Florida, USC, and several other schools went after him. He told me USC was probably too far. He really liked Florida's D-line coach. They came in second. I'm curious to see if he continues to consider other options. I do think he'll end up at LSU. He really likes the Tigers. They've done a good job recruiting him. But Florida was a school he really liked. Billy Napier, of course, was at Louisiana. So he's got ties to the state. They've done a good job getting players from Louisiana, University of Florida. We'll see if there are more opportunities for Anderson maybe to get back to Gainesville or perhaps it's somewhere else. But incredible player. So Richard Anderson is one of those guys that you only see so often because most D linemen north of 300 pounds don't even remotely move like Richard Anderson. He is a 3-and-out guy. I think he will start at LSU his freshman season. I think that's the kind of player we're talking about. This is a national top 10 D lineman. And, let's be more specific, national top 10 player. You could put him in the top 5, and I'd have no problem with it, no matter what the metric is. Because, again, most guys his size just don't move like that, and he was dominant in one-on-ones with spin moves and everything else. So he was tremendous. When we come back, we're going to continue on. Xavier McDonald and several other guys that I have to talk about here on the Portal. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and it's your turn now. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. This show is also brought to you by WayFair. Your home should reflect your style, and with WayFair, it's easier than ever to make that happen. Whether you're looking for a simple refresh or tackling a big home project, WayFair has everything you need in one place. WayFair's huge selection makes it easy to find the perfect piece, no matter your space or your budget. For cozy furniture and stylish decor to kitchen essentials and outdoor must-haves, WayFair has it all, and it's prices that will fit your budget. For me, I recently got another desk for a computer, and it was really easy. I got it for tax included, just over $130, delivered right to my door. It's really easy to use the website, and I was honestly surprised at how much it was, and I've started looking for some other stuff for my couch, etc. Wayfair is a great way to go. Head over to wayfair.com and find something that's your style today. That's wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Xavier McDonald was as advertised at Under Armour New Orleans, and his recruiting list, quite honestly, kind of fits what you would expect. Kid from Mississippi that is a long and lean athlete that goes up and makes plays, and quite honestly makes him look easy. Those guys get a lot of offers. So the school that I would watch the most with him is the school he didn't even shy away from it, saying this is who I rooted for growing up, and that is the LSU Tigers. They are a program to watch. That was the one visit that he guaranteed me he was going to take LSU. Now, he said there are some other ones, but LSU, I think right now, is the team to watch with him. We'll see if that continues. Auburn is going to get a visit most likely, and he said Alabama's trending in that direction as well. There are other schools coming after him, but those are the three to watch right now for Xavier McDonald. Big-time player. I love his length. But seeing him live, this is the second time I'd seen him, but like up close, he had a couple catches close to me. Like his arm length really makes it obvious why he's so heavily recruited. He a great kid too. He was really nice, and I appreciate that. But again, watch out for LSU with Xavier McDonald, 4-star receiver out of the state of Mississippi. Speaking of really unique athletes, I didn't know who he was when he first walked by, and I'm like, holy cow, who is this guy? Zayion Cotton, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Auburn are the most likely visits right now. Mississippi State, I believe he said, was already said. I don't have the date. He didn't have it for me, but this kid, he's about 6'4", 6'5". He is head above everybody else. He's from Grenada, Mississippi. He just looks like a freak. Just off the cuff, out of the skill spots, he was the most physically imposing presence there. I don't know a lot about him. I don't even know where Grenada, Mississippi is, but on the hoof, holy cow. Cotton is a kid that is really athletic. He's long arms, long legs, like the whole 9 yards. So again, Mississippi State, Auburn, and those two were not really surprising for a kid that's from there. And either is Ole Miss, they're involved. Kiffin gets a lot of great receivers, and this is an incredible year in state. Let's see how many he can keep inside the Magnolia State. Continuing on, another kid from Mississippi, and I was joking with him because I've met him a few times, Tylan Wilson. I said, let me see if I can guess some of your official visits. I said LSU, Ole Miss, and one of the Florida schools. And he kind of just laughed, and he said, well, not really. My three right now are Clemson, Texas A&M, and Auburn. I was like, okay, so I totally missed. Tylan is from Pascagoula. It's a tradition-rich program on the coast in Mississippi, and he is a natural free safety. He was one of the leaders for Coach Cox, one of the trainers and the main guys for Under Armour when they did DB drills. He's really fluid for a kid that's 6'2", 6'3", and I understand why everybody wants him. I saw him play last year against Deuce Knight's team, the kid that signed with Auburn at quarterback. He had an interception in that game, ironically. Just a great all-around player. But his recruitment is a long way from over. He doesn't really know where he's going. But, again, those visits are the ones that he gave me. Clemson, A&M, Auburn. We'll see where he ends up. But great kid, and he's always a top performer wherever he goes. Let's see what else we got. Oh, yeah. Before I forget, and it's not a surprise that he's highly coveted based on his performance at Under Armour. I knew he could catch the ball, but I'll talk about him more tonight. Good grief. Darius Yates out of Kemper County. Mario Nash Jr., who signed with Florida State this past year, had told me about it. But this is ridiculous. He made guys look really, really bad. He could play receiver, 100%. This Mississippi football player takes every rep serious, which I love, and he's got the speed and the shiftiness to make it happen. He's 5'9", 190 pounds, 185 pounds. He's put together pretty good. But Yates is just so electric. Ole Miss, Florida State, and watch out for Alabama. Alabama's done a really good job with him. I would say they're probably the team to watch right now for Darius Yates. Really good football player. One more guy, and it's a class of 27. This is a kid that is arguably the best player in the class of 27. He was just there. He didn't compete. But Elijah Haven, he's out of Baton Rouge, one of the best pure passers in the country right now. He's way, way down the road for his recruitment. He's got offers from pretty much every program. But I said, anybody you're going to visit this summer, school camp, anything like that. And Elijah said UCLA was a school that he'd been talking to quite a bit. Again, this is a kid from Louisiana. So in today's world, we get a little bit of everything, but he'd like to go out there and visit. He's going to see some West Coast schools, and that was one in particular that he was really, really interested in. He'll be a national top 10 kid by every service, more than likely, and he may be number one by multiple. Great personality, very respectful, so he carries himself in a way that most programs are going to be very happy about because quarterback is the face of your program. Elijah Haven, he's everything that you're looking for. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Get your latest recruiting info more than anything else, whether it's scouting, whether it's recruiting updates like I just did. We're going to have more of these as we go on throughout the year. And do not forget, all the official visits getting lined up. We are right on the cusp of all these different places coming to fruition with their visits, whether it's Clemson, whether it's A&M, et cetera. We're going to talk about some of the big box stuff with these schools coming up with different people around the Locked On Podcast Network over the next few months. And then, of course, in June, all the visits happen, and the visits, it'll be madness. So there'll be days I do 5 shows in June, like literally. So make sure you bookmark this page. Make sure you subscribe, share that podcast with everybody that you can if they likes recruiting, because we're going to do this as often as possible. If you're looking for us on YouTube and you're listening right now, we've changed how it's written. So just type in @ symbol, the Portal Podcast, and you'll find it on YouTube. But again, we're Spotify, Apple, wherever you get them. So thank you once again. Everybody have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.